This short video is designed to help you understand the transition of content from Learning Point to Myconnect. Before we get started, let's just look at the major components of the two tools. In Blackboard or Learning Point, you had announcements. Assignments were content that you created where you collected work and the information went into the gradebook. Course Calendar was a web page that you either wrote on or you had a table that you inputted your content in. Course files are going to be anything that you attached to one of those web pages, such as a PowerPoint or a PDF or even an image. Discussion boards and forums, those are obvious. Documents, images, and other media, again, those are going to be files, course files. Now let's take a look and see how those pieces of content transition into Myconnect. Your announcements are going to be a straight transfer. Assignments, again, straight transfer with an entry into the gradebook of Myconnect. The calendar tool will not make a seamless transition. You will need to rebuild your calendar using the tool in Myconnect. All your course files will be brought over, and we'll investigate those and in a real course so that you understand what that looks like. Discussion boards or pages will also come over completely the way they were presented in Learning Point. Again, your files will be represented in the Files directory. Pages in Myconnect are going to be anything that is an item in Learning Point. And then we'll go ahead and look at these individually so that you know what they look like. So let's take a look, first of all, at a Learning Point course. I've pulled up Mr. Ryan Mocock from Poway High because his course is a very typical course. He has a link to the Synergy Gradebook, which represents itself on a page that was built by me. And then there is a link on that page that takes the students to the actual gradebook. So this is a web page and it's represented by this little icon right here. Let's take a look at his course documents. Under course documents, you're going to see where he's begun to create organization for his course. He has created folders, and then within those folders there are web pages or items, as we just learned about, and connected to those items or web pages are then documents that he has linked. So this case, this is if you point and pause on it, it'll tell you it's a spreadsheet. So it's a document attached. So that's the structure of Learning Point. You created a button, which in essence is a folder. Inside that folder, you created subfolders. Those subfolders then contained pages or web pages of content with attached files. Now what will that look like in Myconnect? Let's zip over to that. When you go into Myconnect and you point and pause on your courses, you are going to see your course that was imported, and it will be called Your Name Classroom and then a number. If this is the first time you've been into Myconnect, this is going to look a little strange, and I would encourage you to either take a TLC or we have some additional videos for you to learn to navigate this. For the purpose of this little video here, we're going to go ahead and close our next step windows, and we're going to look at what happened to Ryan's content when it was brought over. First of all, your navigation button looks different, but the content is there. So a web page is going to be represented, a web page or an item that you built in Learning Point is going to be represented under the Pages category. Now this becomes a little bit daunting because you could have hundreds of pages depending on the size of your Learning Point site. Now these are just web pages that have been built and you have attached things to them in Learning Point. So any place that you made an item, that item was converted to a page in Myconnect. Now any files that are attached to a page have been brought over as well. They can be found under the Files button, and go ahead and click on CS Files. And when you click on your CS Files, then you will be able to see, home directory, all the files that were attached to a page or item in Learning Point. These were all brought over, and they are still attached to the pages. Now, what is going to be a little harder or different for you to understand is, let's go back to Learning Point. Learning Point is what we call a nested tool. I create my organizations by creating buttons, and then creating folders, and then putting content into the folders. In Myconnect, what you're going to do instead is you are going to be working with modules. And modules, you can think of modules simply as an organizational structure to find your content. And if we look at Ryan's course right now, you will notice that I have a button called Grades First Semester. And that button was created to a module heading, and then that item that was directing kids to their web pages or whatever their grades is still presented here. Now, we don't need this anymore because we're not using making the grade. So Ryan technically at this point could delete this and get rid of it completely, because he no longer needs that page at all. So if he came back to his modules, your first instinct is to go ahead and point here and remove the page. You're not removing the page though, you are simply taking it out of the module. So you can go ahead and remove the page and delete the module, but you'll still need to go to Pages. Notice this page is called Grades 117. You'll still need to go to Pages. Hopefully we get there. And in Pages, these are in alphabetic order, so you're going to want to find that file, and then you are going to delete that file from your Pages directory. Now, that is if you are going to be using this main course as your master course for the year. If you're not using it as a master course and you've built another course shell and you're going to be copying content because it's easier, then I wouldn't worry about it. The big thing that you need to recognize is that modules are going to be any of the folder headings that were created on Learning Point. So notice here, under Class Documents, Ryan has Worm Lab, and that's a folder because of the little icon. If we come back and we look at how it was brought over to Myconnect, and I can close up these little windows here. So there is that folder. Now notice it made a module called Course Documents to represent the button, and then it made a sub module called Worm Lab because that is what was underneath that button. So Course Documents went to Worm Labs, then Worm Lab went to an actual document that he had created with the attached file to it. So everything is still there. It's just a matter of figuring out where it went and how to reorganize it for the upcoming school year. My recommendation to you would be to go to Settings, and in Settings you can change your navigation bar by going to the Navigation tab. And what I would recommend that you do is that you drag all the unneeded stuff down here to begin with. So we're going to just drag these all down. But the ones that I would leave organized, I'm going to leave modules. I'm going to pull down in Pages. I'm going to pull down People. I'm going to pull down Grades, Discussions, Assignments, and Announcements. Now I'm going to put modules down here, but I'm going to put it first, and then Pages, and then files, because that's really the structure for you to look at the content. And then don't forget to hit the save button. And by doing that, what happens is it makes it a little bit easier for you to begin to organize and understand where the content went. So modules are folders that contain the pages that you built, and files are the files, Word docs, spreadsheets, images, whatever, that were attached to the files in Learning Point. Okay, this quick video is just to get you started, and I suggest you continue following along, and we will help you make the transition as easy as possible.